Good evening. My name is Joypride and I'm a student and a professional content writer. I welcome you to the stories of tribal identity and culture that will explore the role of tribal literature and tribal representation in literature in shaping cultural identity and ideology. Curated under TMYS Review December 2023 in collaboration with the Center for Asia Pacific Initiatives, University of Victoria. We are also calling for the submission of essays, poems, and short stories under the project. To know more about the submission guidelines and the project architecture, please visit www.tellmeastory.biz. This evening, I consider myself very privileged to be in the company of our esteemed panelists, Dr. K. Mitri, Rosemary Mandy, and Dr. Tim Ritter, who will shortly share their views and insight with us. The topic for today's discussion is suppressed or neglected voices, tribal women appearing as marginalized and peripheral characters under the subtle position, circumstances, and battles of tribal women in popular fiction. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our speakers. Our first speaker is Rosemary Merandi. We're delighted to have you, ma'am. Rosemary Merandi has been a journalist for over 13 years, reporting on business and economy, corporate affairs, BFSI, tech, and CSR. She is also a content specialist and research analyst, covering oil and gas and metro sectors in Southeast Asia. A Pulitzer grantee, her articles have been appeared in Nifty Asia, AFP, Financial Times, The Banker, Microsoft India, and Al Jazeera. She has won several grants to highlight environmental, social, women's rights issues, and indigenous peoples' rights from organizations such as Pulitzer Center, the World Resources Institute, and the Working Group of Women for Land Ownership. She is also the author of They Meant Business, a book on India's economic corporate houses published by Hachette India for young adults. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us this evening. Our second speaker for the session is Dr. K.M. Mistry. We are delighted to have you, sir, on the panel. Dr. K.M. Mistry, Senior Professor in the Department of Tribal Studies at Kannada University, earned postgraduate degrees in sociology, anthropology, education, and sociology with a doctorate. He held the position of Director, DDE, Dean, Chief of Librarian, and Vice Chancellor at Kannada University. Completed 39 projects and successfully mentored 59 MPhil, PhD, and PDF. He also published 44 books and received prestigious national and international awards for his contribution to the culture, literature, and education of tribal and nomadic communities. Thank you, sir, for joining us this evening. And we move to our third speaker for the session, who is Professor Streamlit Tucker. We are delighted to have you, ma'am, on the panel. Professor Streamlit Tucker is an eminent Khasi poet, dramatist, playwright, critic, and translator. She is a professor and former Dean School of Humanities and Nehu. Presently, she is a university representative of Sahitya Academy, New Delhi. She got the State Literary Award for the Best Book of the Year for the collection of Khasi folk poems in 2009. She has to her credit 35 books, 130 research articles on themes like social issues, women and children, culture, etc. She is a founder president of annual Meghalaya Poetry Competition and Festival since 2008 till date. At present, she is a president of Katayar Language Depi, an organization for conservation of culture, and the president of ICSW, Meghalaya State Branch. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us this evening. We will now open the forum for the discussion. I would request Ms. Rosemary Mandy to share her insights. Ma'am, over to you, please. Ma'am,
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Rosemary,
Can
ma'am.
you hear me
Can you hear
now?
me?
Yes,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
now I checked with my speaker. It's coming.
Okay.
Yes. So can you repeat? I don't know what you have spoken also because just now I could hear your voice.
It's okay,
Please
ma'am.
join with your mobile. Okay. Now I'm joining in the desktop only. It's all right.
Hmm.
Mm, okay.
So I would request Dr. K. Mistry to share his insights. Please, sir.
आदत तो हो गई, अब जाइए। हाँ, अभी शुरू करें।
Yes, sir. हाँ हाँ श्योर सर।
आप सभी को नमस्ते। संध्या काल की
Yes.
ये नया एक्सपीरियंस है मुझे। पहली बार ऐसा एक प्रोफेशन में मैं हिस्सा लिया हूँ। टेल मी योर स्टोरी। मैं सोचा शायद मेरा ही स्टोरी बोलना है, लेकिन आपने सब्जेक्ट दिया है कि सप्रेस्ड और नेग्लेक्टेड वॉइसेस ट्राइबल वुमन appearing as marginalized और पेरिफेरल कैरेक्टर्स बोल के, तो इसके ऊपर बात करना ऐसा मुझे लगता है कि मैं इसी के ऊपर बात करूं। ये जो आपने टॉपिक रखा है, ये मेन स्ट्रीम के जरिए से देखने की नजरिया है। अगर ट्राइबल के ओर से देखा जाए तो इसको हम उल्टा कर सकते हैं। भारत के परिप्रेक्ष्य में या विश्व में हम आदिवासी को, आदिवासी महिला को नॉन आदिवासी की आय से देखते हैं। इसलिए हमें ऐसा लगता है कि आदिवासी या आदिवासी महिला मार्जिनलाइज है या पेरिफेरल है। मुझे ऐसा नहीं लगता। आदिवासी महिला ही पूरा विश्व को अपना ज्ञान के जरिए, पूरा विश्व को अपना ज्ञान या विजन दिखाई है। उसके बाद ही हम नॉन आदिवासी जो हैं उसको अलग अलग ढंग से देखते हैं। आदिवासी स्त्री या महिला आदिवासीपन के लिए या आदिवासी तन के लिए या आदिवासियत के लिए वो सेंट्रलाइज है। आदिवासी भाषा अगर आज बची है तो आदिवासी की जो महिला है उन्हीं के जरिए आदिवासी भाषा बची है। आदिवासी कल्चर है तो उन्हीं के जरिए बची है। आदिवासी ऑक्यूपेशन है तो उन्हीं के जरिए बची है। हम उसको वैज्ञानिक ढंग से देखने की जरूरत है, उनके जरिए से देखने की जरूरत है। आदिवासी महिला प्रकृति को कहीं हानि करती नहीं है। प्रकृति की प्रोटेक्टर है, प्रकृति के साथ जीती है और प्रकृति की रक्षा करती है। तो उनके ज़रिए से या उनकी सेंट्रलाइज़ के ज़रिए अगर हम देखा जाए, तो प्रकृति को कितना अच्छी तरीके से वो परख पाती है, नॉन आदिवासी महिला या नॉन आदिवासी जो समाज है, वो प्रकृति को अच्छी तरीके से परख नहीं पाते। वो प्रकृति का ही एक रूप है, आदिवासी हो या आदिवासी महिला हो। हम प्रकृति के साथ जो नहीं चल रहे हैं, वही हम ज़्यादा बाधा बन रहे हैं। जो प्रकृति के साथ चल रहे हैं, वो समाज की बाधा नहीं बन रहे, समाज की रक्षा कर रहे हैं, ऐसा मैसेज। आज जितने भी हम देखते हैं, आदिवासियों में आदिवा आदिवासियों से जो नॉन आदिवासियों पहुँची है, और उनसे हमें बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलती है। उनकी फोक सॉन्ग्स देखिए, न्यूज़ देखिए, उसमें थकान नहीं है, उनके डांस में थकान नहीं है, उनके गाने में थकान नहीं है, वो थकान को दूर करती है। और हमारे जितना भी ज्ञान भंडार है, उनके फोक एपिक्स में है। ओरल हिस्ट्री में हमारा पूरा फ्री हिस्ट्री वहाँ पर हमें दर्शाते हैं। उनके ज़रिए अगर देखा जाए, तो वो ज्ञानी हैं और हम जो हैं अज्ञानी हैं। लेकिन अपने आप को हम क्या बोलते हैं? हम ज्ञानी बहुत हैं। अपने नज़रिए से देखने से वैसा लगता है। कोई आदिवासी भाषा को लेते हुए या कोई आदिवासी डांस को लेते हुए, कोई एपिक को लेते हुए देखा जाए, तो नॉन आदिवासी उसको अच्छी तरीके से डिफाइन नहीं कर पाएगा। लेकिन आदिवासी महिला उसको अच्छी तरीके से डिफाइन कर पाएगी। तो उनके सेंट्रलाइज से हम देखा जाए, तो हम मार्जिनलाइज होते हैं। हमारे ज़रिए से देखा जाए, तो वो मार्जिनलाइज होते हैं। वो पेरिफेरल होते हैं। तो देखने के ज़रिए जो हैं, उनके ज़रिए से देखा जाए, तो वो स्ट्रीम में ही हैं। हम अपने ज़रिए से हम स्ट्रीम बनाए हैं, मेन स्ट्रीम हम बोलते हैं। वो भी जी रहे हैं, लिटरेसी नहीं है, जी रहे हैं। ज़्यादा धन नहीं है, जी रहे हैं। वास्तव में धन का मालिक वही है। जितना खदान है, जितना फॉरेस्ट है, अच्छा पानी है, प्रदूषण रहित जगह है, तो आदिवासी का ही है। लेकिन अपने आप को हम कहते हैं बहुत मार्जिनलाइज हुए हैं, उनके पास जीने की ज़रिया ही नहीं है, खाने के लिए कुछ नहीं है, वो तो कंदमूल खाएँगे। हमसे ज़्यादा वैरायटी खाएँगे, जो सिविलाइज़्ड बोलते हैं उनसे अच्छा वैरायटी खाएँगे। बहुत से वाइल्ड लाइफ खाएँगे, बहुत से वनस्पति खाएँगे। रेजिस्टेंस पावर हमसे ज़्यादा होगा, जो नॉन ट्राइबल है, उनसे ज़्यादा होगा। दवा खाने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं होता उनको, सब दवा वो अपने खाने में खा लेते हैं। अपने रिचुअल्स में वो एम्पावर हो जाते हैं, गाने में एम्पावर हो जाते हैं, उनके रिश्तेदारी में एम्पावर हो जाते हैं, विल पावर बढ़ा लेते हैं। अगर कोई आदिवासी या आदिवासी महिला हॉस्पिटल गए, तो उनका विल पावर खत्म हो जाती है, कम हो जाती है। इसलिए उन्होंने अपनी जो डाइटीज़ रहते हैं, उनके उनके ऊपर वो ज़्यादा ध्यान देते हैं। वो पूछते हैं कुछ गलती हुआ है तो हमें माफ करो, हमें अच्छा करो। प्रकृति को पूजते हैं, झाड़ उनके देव हैं, नदियां उनके देव हैं, आसपास की जो चीजें हैं वो सभी उनके देव हैं। उन्हीं को पूछते हैं हम क्या गलती किए, ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है। अगर ज्यादा बरसात आए तो बरसात की देवता को पूछते हैं, ज्यादा धूप आए तो धूप का देवता को पूछते हैं, सूरज को पूछते हैं, चांद को पूछते हैं। ये क्यों ऐसा कर रहे हैं, क्यों हानि पहुंचा रहे हैं, उनसे बात करते हैं। जो सिविलाइज्ड बोलते हैं उनसे बात नहीं करते। वो डॉक्टर से पूछते हैं, हॉस्पिटल जाते हैं, कोर्ट को जाते हैं। कौन सा समाज स्वस्थ है? वही समाज स्वस्थ है जो समाज में हॉस्पिटल ना हो। वही समाज स्वस्थ है जिनके एरिया में पुलिस स्टेशन ना हो। वही समाज स्वस्थ है जिस एरिया में कोर्ट ना हो। उनके पास कुछ गड़बड़ियां हो तो वही समाज के अंदर वो हल कर लेंगे। कोर्ट तक जाने की जरूरत नहीं, उनका ही कोर्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट होता है। हर घर में, हर घर के आंगन में जड़ी बूटियां रहते हैं, उसको यूज करते हैं, खाने में यूज करते हैं, और कुछ ज्यादा कम हुए तो उनकी प्रकृति में रहता है, उसको यूज करते हैं। कॉस्ट फ्री रहता है, कॉस्ट देने की जरूरत नहीं था, और किसी को चाहे तो फ्री देते हैं, पैसा नहीं लेते। हम कहते हैं डेवलपमेंट किसके नाम से? डेवलपमेंट, ज्यादा हॉस्पिटल रही तो डेवलपमेंट, ज्यादा कोर्ट रही तो डेवलपमेंट, ज्यादा पुलिस स्टेशन रही तो डेवलपमेंट। ये गलत है। आदिवासी के जरिए से अगर देखा जाए तो कितना कम प्रकृति को हानि पहुंचाते हुए अपने आप को जीते हैं ना, वही बढ़िया जिंदगी है। ये समझने की जरूरत है, ऐसा मुझे लगता है। तो हम कितना खर्चा कर रहे हैं आप देखिए, हॉस्पिटल के लिए वो कितना कर रहे हैं, कपड़े के लिए हम कितना खर्चा कर रहे हैं, वो कितना कर रहे हैं, व्हीकल के लिए हम कितना खर्चा कर रहे हैं, वो कितना कर रहे हैं। हर चीज के ऊपर आप देखिए हम कितना खर्चा कर रहे हैं, वो कितना कर रहे हैं। कॉस्ट फ्री उनका है, स्वास्थ्य ज्यादा है, प्रकृति को हानि नहीं पहुंचा रहे हैं, प्रकृति को रक्षा कर रहे हैं। एक झाड़ भी वो नहीं तोड़ते। झाड़ को तोड़ना ही है तो उसको पूजा करके उसको माफी मांग के तोड़ते हैं, काटते हैं। हम वैसा नहीं करते, पूरा झाड़ के झाड़ पूरा खत्म कर लेके आते हैं, बिजनेस करते हैं झाड़ के ऊपर, प्राणी के ऊपर। अगर दो जीव का प्राणी रहा तो उसको नहीं मारते, उसको छोड़ देते हैं, क्योंकि उसका बच्चा और हमें हेल्प होगा। अगर कोई जड़ रहा तो पूरा जड़ के साथ वो खत्म, काटते नहीं है, उसका थोड़ा सा चीज वहीं पर रुक के रखे, वो जितना चाहिए उतना जड़ लेके आते हैं। फल कभी भी नहीं खाते, फल का वो त्योहार करते हैं, त्योहार करने के बाद ही फल खाते हैं। ये जो चीजें हैं उनके पास बहुत सी चीजें हैं उनसे सीखने की। इसलिए हम जो, क्योंकि आपने जो टॉपिक दिया है मार्जिनलाइज बोल के, अपने जरिए से मार्जिनलाइज जरूर हैं, क्योंकि लिटरेसी कम है, उनके पास हॉस्पिटल नहीं है, पुलिस स्टेशन नहीं है। हमारे जरिए से बिल्कुल मार्जिनलाइज है, या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली भी हम कह सकते हैं कि उनको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अच्छी तरीके से मालूम नहीं है। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के जरिए वो नहीं चल रहे, आज भी छोटेपन में ही शादी कर रहे हैं। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन उसको नहीं मानता। 18 साल होना चाहिए, 21 साल होना चाहिए, उनको मालूम नहीं है। 14 साल होने के बाद वो मैरिज कर देते हैं, या उससे भी पहले करते हैं, क्योंकि उनकी कस्टमरी लॉज है। इनके कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली देखा जाए तो वो मार्जिनलाइज लगते हैं। अगर उनके कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के जरिए या कस्टमरी लॉज के जरिए देखा जाए तो मार्जिनलाइज नहीं है, उनका स्ट्रीम में ही है, ऐसा मुझे लगता है। लेकिन आज की जो लिटरेसी है, आज की जो सिविलाइज्ड कम्युनिटीज है, डे बाय डे उनके ऊपर हम हावी हो रहे हैं, उनके फॉरेस्ट में जा रहे हैं, उनको लिटरेसी देने को दिए जा रहे हैं या दवा देने को जा रहे हैं, उनको ज्यादा डिस्टर्बेंस कर रहे हैं। उनके फॉरेस्ट में बहुत से हमने वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरीज लाए हैं, बहुत सी चीजें लाए हैं। वो तो वाइल्ड लाइफ के साथ जीना उनको मालूम है, वो सेंचुरी से हम उनको बाहर डाल रहे हैं। बाहर अच्छी तरीके से जीना उनको नहीं हो पा रहा है। अनरेस्ट है किनके लिए? इन द नेम ऑफ डेवलपमेंट। हम जो उनके अंदर जाके काम कर रहे हैं, इन द नेम ऑफ डेवलपमेंट उनको अनरेस्ट हम पैदा कर रहे हैं। तो उनके जरिए देख के उनकी फॉरेस्ट उनको प्रोटेक्ट करने की जरूरत है। वो फॉरेस्ट की ट्राइब हो या पेस्टल नोमैड्स की ट्राइब हो। अगर पेस्टल नोमैड्स की ट्राइब है, जैसा आप हिमाचल देखेंगे, जम्मू कश्मीर देखेंगे, बकरवाल देखेंगे, गुज्जर देखेंगे, गड्डीज देखेंगे, उनको क्या चाहिए? उनको पेस्टल लैंड चाहिए। अगर पेस्टल लैंड इन द नेम ऑफ डेवलपमेंट, बहुत से तालाब बन रहे हैं, डैम बन रहे हैं, गांव बन रहे हैं, शहर बन रहे हैं, उनकी पेस्टल लैंड सभी खत्म हो रहा है। अगर पेस्टलिज्म चले गया तो ये जो धरती है वो बंजर हो जाएगी। जो नॉन ट्राइबल्स है वो भी एकदम वीक हो जाएगा। आप देख रहे हैं आज ये हाइब्रिड की जो संतति आ रही है, हाइब्रिड की संतति में हमने बहुत कुछ लागे। अभी मुर्गी को हाइब्रिड लाए और पूछते हैं हम कि हमें वैसा नहीं चाहिए, हमें देसी मुर्गी चाहिए, क्योंकि देसी मुर्गी में वो ताकत है, देसी बकरी में वो ताकत है। जो देशी जो भी है वो नेचर के साथ है, और जो हाइब्रिडाइज किए हैं साइंटिफिकली वो साइड इफेक्ट हो रहा है। उसी को ज्यादा आज के हॉस्पिटल चाहिए, या जो ज्यादा पढ़ा हुआ लोग आदमी है या ज्यादा पॉलिटिक्स में गया है वो ज्यादा खतरनाक है समाज के लिए। बोलता है समाज को हम प्रिजर्व करेंगे, प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे, लेकिन वो नहीं कर पा रहा। डे बाय डे ज्यादा से ज्यादा हानि पहुंचा रहा है, ट्राइब्स को हानि पहुंचा रहा है, प्रकृति को भी हानि पहुंचा रहा है। तो हम जो ज्यादा पढ़े हैं या हम ज्यादा पॉलिटिक्स में हैं या अलग अलग यानी कि मेन स्ट्रीम को चलाने वाले हैं, हम बोल रहे हैं कि लास्ट टू लास्ट पर्सन तक हम रीच करेंगे, लेकिन नहीं रीच हो रहे। अगर उनका कुछ चीजें हैं तो उसको भी हम हमारा कॉपीराइट करके हमारा नाम से छपा के उनको और हम मार्जिनलाइज कर रहे हैं। तो उनकी जो स्ट्रीम है उसको अच्छी तरीके से परखने की जरूरत है, और उनके हक उनको देने की भी जरूरत है, मुझे लगता है। तो ये दोनों जो मार्जिनलाइज जो चीज है, पेरिफेरल जो चीज है, हम वैसा वर्षा देखने की जरूरत है जो मुझे लगता है। अगर वैसा देखा जाए और आगे आने वाले दिनों में उनके जरिए से हम देखने की कोशिश किया जाए, तो हम जरूर ये धरती को, ये प्रकृति को अच्छी तरीके से रख सकते हैं या आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं, मुझे ऐसा लगता है। तो ये चीजों के ऊपर और ज्यादा प्रश्नोत्तर हो तो आगे बढ़ाएंगे।
Absolutely, sir. Thank you, sir,
यही
very
मेरा
much for your insightful observation.
मैम।
Thank you, sir,
हेलो,
very much for your insightful observation. Can you hear me?
बोलिए।
Sir, thank you for your insightful
हेलो,
observation. Hello, can you hear me,
थैंक
sir?
यू।
Yeah. Now we would like to move on to our next panelist. I would now request Professor Srimit Thakur to share her insights. Ma'am, over to you. Ma'am,
ನೀವು ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಿರಾ ಬರಾಕತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು
ನಾನೇನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay. Hi. So good evening. Yeah. So first of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to you, Joyshri Day and Coral, and also my co-panelist, Rosemary and Dr. K.M. Metri. Um, I know you have invited me to be in the panel. I'll try my level best to talk something about the tribal oppression, especially women. And yes, I would like to yeah, the topic suppressed or neglected voices, tribal women appearing as marginalized peripheral characters, is a very thought-provoking topic. I would say we are now living, in the 21st century, and women are no longer uh, uh, like those women in the past who bow down their heads and agree to what other men say, whether at home or in the society. So most women are now fighting for equity and justice. So patriarchal norms have been imposed on tribal communities for so long, and these patriarchal norms are not only, rules implemented in reality, but they have made an impact also, even in the world of tribal literature. I believe, and many of us read about tribal literature, they will be able to see, the kind of suppression that tribal writers had also tried to impose in the characters they create. So we understand that literature interprets life, and it is true that writers try to create characters in the writings, to imitate the particular culture, to imitate the tradition, the system they practice, and so on and so forth. Scholars are able to examine the views of the writers on the characters they create in the narratives they read. So, oppression in the tribal society is witnessed glaringly by the dominant people everywhere. We are talking about, tribal people, and we see that in every society, we do have dominant people, and atrocities on the women have become a matter of concern, a rising concern, and women have been silenced by their voices in a patriarchal system that is encouraged from hiding, our prejudice, hiding your suppression, affecting, societal minorities. And I believe this is what we are talking about in the many a time when we especially talk about suppression of the women's voice in tribal society. So, tribal women from the plains or from the hills face discrimination. They face discrimination because of the dominant patriarchal norms, as I've already said. Even the matrilineal society of Meghalaya, of Northeast India, is facing discrimination in many phases of their day to day life because they are governed by patriarchal norms. I belong to a matrilineal society, and I've seen this because though we believe that we trace the lineage, sorry, we trace the lineage to the mother, Yet, uh, other forms of, our cultural norms are being, ruled by men or by patriarchal norms. So, perception of people outside the material society is that, women are free from oppression and have equal rights with men. These perceptions are half truth, as the ground reality is that men are the decision makers. Men are the decision makers, whether a maternal uncle, a brother, or a father, as in the case of the Khazis and the Garos. So, though the Khazis trace the lineage to the mother, the control and decision making functions in the family and society are mainly concentrated in the hands of men. Women are considered to be weaker both physically and mentally by the society. So this has led many women to bear violence in multiple forms, silently, within the four walls of our homes. And writers and poets portray such characters in the writings. A Khasi woman is often described. I will tell you the maxims. Kakin thei shibor ushunran khat arbor literally means a woman to have a single power, whereas a man has 12 powers. It really depicts that women are physically weaker to men. So men metaphorically describe women. We have got so many maxims, and sometimes they used to say, women, they are just kakantai kakana. Kakantai kakana means a woman and a girl child. When we are compared with a girl child, just imagine the expression is undoubtedly to demean women. So we have got another custom. What we used to practice is the to really focus that the father is the head of the family. And when the father is the head of the family, we have one practice that we call in Khasi kabam jakle kyu. Bam jakle kyu means to eat the topmost part of the cooked rice, and that is being kept by the father. And suppose my children are hungry, and I have to feed them. But then I have to take the topmost part of the cooked rice from the pot to keep it aside so that I can give, I can feed my children. So these are the kinds of metaphor that we are subordinate to men. Matrilineal system in Khasi society, appears to have patriarchal ideologies, and matrilineal principles are going on together. They are operating within the system itself. So when I say this, I think you will understand that even in matrilineal society, of the Khasis and the Garos, we have the patriarchal ideologies. And these patriarchal ideologies, it's very, very powerful, not only in the past, even today. Often, it is seen as a matrilineal society with patriarchal norms and values. And in politics, when you say in politics, Khasi women are not allowed to participate in a traditional darbar or the local councils as per the cultural norms. So the popular Khasi saying that goes, we've got so many proverbs. Onda kan I ka yar kan thei, ka per thei kan sawai. Onda kan I ka yar kan thei, ka per thei kan sawai literally means when the hen begins to grow. When the hens begin to crow, the world will come to an end. When the hen begins to crow, the world will come to an end. The maxim aims to debar women from taking part in the decision making processes or in politics. Or directly, we can say that, the voices of a woman should not be heard because it's only men who can speak. So, the other viewpoint. No, yes, yes, we do have perception of people who are for the oppression of women. There are also other section of the society will say no, material system, women in material system, they are not oppressed at all. So when we have these kind of views, let me tell you, um, I can quote from Lodha. Lodha is one of the person, a researcher who works on the oppression of women. He says that in the tribal world, women are generally suppressed group and have low status and they are under subjugation, oppression, or under male dominance. And having said so, because he is a scholar and he knew also during his research about the Khasi society. So the Khasi society gives prime importance to the clan. Therefore, women's primary role is to maintain the continuity of the clan, of the family, the lineage, and she is being called, I just feel it's so ridiculous when there is a saying, "Kakin thei kanong khayar kapai." Kakin thei kanong khayar kapai means a woman who bears many children. That means women are supposed to bear as many children as they could. So both males and female tribal writers, try to apply this thought in the writings too, especially traditionalists, especially both men and women, traditionalists who are the writers of culture, they will observe these kind of thought, of Khasi thought. So, perception that the youngest daughter, we call in Khasika Khaddo, inherits or she inherits the ancestral property or she is the sole heir of the ancestral property is not true at all. It's not true because she does not inherit all the property. The youngest daughter is only the custodian of the family property, of the ancestral property. So management and decision making authority rests with the male members, and they are expected to be abide by the decision by the decision of their maternal uncle, the kini, we call ukini, or the elder brother, uhimen. So, because of these cultural norms, even material society also are facing a kind of oppression in a different way. So, crime against women, such as domestic violence, including marital rape, it continued to increase, and also it has been reflected in tribal writings, in tribal literature. So, besides these, other problems that still badly affected women are patriarchal, the patriarchal oppression. When we say patriarchal oppression means violence, gender discrimination, lack of opportunities, and so on and so forth. Domestic violence is the most indirect form of violence against women. So tribal women are considered to be weaker both physically and mentally by the society. So this has led many tribal women to bear violence in multiple forms silently within the four walls of our homes, of their homes. So dominant mindsets are also portrayed in the narratives of the past by the male writers and even by the female writers with men's lens. We do have female writers with men's lens, and they never want to, to say that woman is a great woman. No, like they will try to portray them as, a woman who bows down. When I would like to refer to Khasi folklores, because in most of our Khasi folklores, when we see representation of women, we will always understand that how women are weaker sex. Let me cite you a female character in the story Kalangburku Sinkando. This is a story about is a folk story about two daughters who were tortured physically and with abused languages by the stepfather. Yet the mother is being suppressed. She cannot say anything. She cannot stop her husband not to beat her daughters, not to abuse her, not to abuse them because they are two daughters. And she can't say anything on the wrongdoings of her husband till the daughters. Finally, they ran away from home. They fled from home by transforming themselves into birds. They cut their own body and inserted inside their wounds with the feathers of the hens, and they tried to lift up. They lift themselves up till they could fly, and they never came back home. So these are the kinds of story that we have in our folklore. Another story called Kariting Minnar, this is written by a male writer, D.T. Lalu, is focused on the female character named Karai. Karai is the name of the female character who has been humiliated, tortured by her brother. Her brother's name is Kongwei, to the extent that he cut her boobs, he cut her breast, and out of shame, she ran away from home and hid herself at a tree called Riteng Minnar. See, in the Khasi society, writers with men's lens see that women are only the nurturers of children, and her duty is to look after her household chores and uh, anything which is related inside the home. So she's being supposed to talk and interfere in the works of her male counterparts. And then this thought has been portrayed in the folklore of the Khasis, and women characters are being portrayed, as I told you, as weaker sex because men could discriminate them because they have been shown as subordinate to them. So a number of male writers like E.W. Dukar, Warning Tusaw, and a few others portray women as subordinate to men, and they want also to clearly show that ill treatment of the characters they portray in their creative works, like the novels, the dramas, and short stories, and so on and so forth. They are trying to focus the discrimination in various ways. So their narratives portray the image of the suffering women. So portrayals of suppressed tribal women are seen when women are being tortured mentally and abused physically. In many narratives, tribal women bow down themselves and live as per the desire of their counterparts. They are obedient. I have, such characters like Kalo Shadap from one play, Kutyapnar, and they want these characters to do what others want them to do, even if it is against their will. even if it is against their uh, the mind, the will, the thought, but then they are compelled to do. So I will just cite one example in the context of one play, the Devarun. The author portrays that a sister, Shapai Rande, has to fulfill the cultural norms as per the direction of her brother because she has to fulfill the desire of her brother that a woman should, should bear children, that a woman should continue to should be able to continue the lineage of her clan. So she has to suppress her freedom of choice. The brother doesn't allow her to move out of the house, and the control is beyond the limit. She's being blamed of her sickness because her belly got swollen, and he misinterpreted also that she must have been involved sexually with somebody. So trust is out of question, even if she was not allowed to move out of her house. So tribal writers have enough portrayals of instances where curtailed because because they are considered subordinate to them, to men. So this clearly shows that women should not be equally classed with the status of men, be it in her thoughts, be it in her deeds. In many narratives, the perception of writers see that good women characters are considered good. Why? It's because they just obey what others tell them to do without questioning. A woman who obeys without questioning, they are being praised by men because she is not allowed to voice her feelings. She is not allowed to talk, to make any kind of decision. So few instances of these types of characters are being exploited by men characters, especially if they are antagonist characters in the narratives. So because they knew that a woman is weak, simple, and has to bound out. Yes, of course. So with the new developments in the world of critical writings today, writers start talking about issues like women's liberation and women empowerment. Tribal literature is now they are trying to expose what is happening in the past or even in the present form of these kind of exploitation. So writers and poets portray such women characters in the tribal writings, in the poems, in the novels, in the dramas. The peripheral characters are now shown that they're trying to voice out their concern. They're trying to voice out their views. They're trying to say something that they want to say. So, writers, the trends of writers these days have changed. Even if we do have, few writers who still continue to focus on, the oppression of tribal women, oppression of the voice of the tribal women. So, thank you for this opportunity. I cannot hear you. Yeah. No, I cannot hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you
that's
very
fine.
much, ma'am, for your insightful observation. This brings us to the end of today's session. I thank all the panelists once again for sharing invaluable perspective on the topic. This is to remind that we are calling for submission on tribal literature and tribal representation in literature, the details of which can be viewed on www.tmysstory.biz. We'll come back to you soon with our next panel discussion on the subject. Till then, good night, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.